It's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is way easier from outside the cage. And tonight we are proving that fighting has a lot of really cool, funny stuff going on. We have so much to get to. I am your host, Kevin Phillips. With me, of course, the Twitter captain of America, Raf Esparza. Raf, how are you doing this evening?
Good. You?
Perfect. We have so much to get to.
Yes, we do.
We're going to do your tough review with Dhiego Lima from Tough 19. Then we're going to bring on MMA Roasted's very funny Adam Hunter. He is MMA Roasted. He's the one doing all those tweets. And then we have a rousing game of UFC 173 over under Kevin with a mystery guest that I'm told we really like.
We do. We do like this guy.
So we have so much to jam pack into this episode, and we also need to talk about Bellator.
Yes, we do. Well, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, Kev.
Well, I guess that's the better way to say it. There's a lot of things to talk about. Can you do it in 60 seconds? Before you answer, I know what I'm asking. I'm asking you to take all that you were tweeting about, and you were probably the world's leading tweeter on Bellator pay-per-view.
Yes.
Are you prepared to maybe condense that to 1 minute?
Kev, if there's one thing I know how to do on the show, it's to condense things into 1 minute. It's kind of my thing.
Okay, I was worried you were going to say it. This is not a tough review 1 minute situation. This is 60 seconds.
Yeah, Kev, like I said, I know how to get things done in 1 minute. It's what I'm known for on this show. Like, you just give me 1 minute, I make the most out of that minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to be crystal clear, 60 seconds is what we're talking about,
that's
right?
That's absolutely what we're talking about. Yeah, I don't see why this would be complicated.
Yeah,
obviously,
I don't know why that's a problem and why you would even accuse me of not being able to do 60 seconds.
No one's accusing you. I just wanted to be super clear. That was my wish. Okay. Well, with that, in 3 seconds, I'm going to start you. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1 minute begins now.
Okay, there was a weird moment when my fiance appropriately pointed out that Solange and Jay-Z have more interesting feud than King Mo and Rampage. The weird part is they had this weird, crazy thing where Bjorn and fake Dana White were yelling at the very end of the free part of the show. So it was much like Joe Rogan and Dana White. It was like total imitation, flattery kind of a thing. They couldn't find anybody who spoke English, so everybody had to be subtitles. Frank Shamrock, for whatever reason, was like Mean Gene Okerlund and just kept going backstage and conducting terrible interviews. To then Czech Congo beat up some guy so much that they were almost going to run out of time, but Big John stopped the fight anyway. Michael Page thought he was Michael Jackson. They didn't spend any new money on pay-per-view graphics. I thought that for some reason, if I was paying $39.95, I should get 7 fights, not 5. Joe Warren went full fucking pro wrestler on us. There was a lot of jiu-jitsu that you could say about Tito Ortiz, but how can you prepare for his head pressure with a head and arm choke? And just a note, if you are going to say, let's look at this choke again, you don't choose the furthest away angle. And also, I guess, Tito Ortiz and all these old people won again. So, ta-da.
Time. Perfect. That was actually 1 minute, 8 seconds, but you
Okay, I have a couple
fire.
more. I just want to let you know. It was actually 60 seconds. Couple last things. Let me tell you this. When they started having the Rampage fight, they definitely were yelling out, whoop that trick. They also, when they were talking, there was so much that happened. The Chandler fight was great. He thought he won. And here's the weird part, Kevin. If this was a different fight in the UFC, you would have had Chandler winning by points and you would have had King Mo winning by points. But instead, the judges actually decided to pick who did the most damage. That was a very weird scenario to have yesterday.
Ooh, pride rules. Pride rules.
Yeah, don't call them pride rules. Just call them hey, whatever. And the worst part about this whole fucking scenario was by the end of the night, they had King Mo yelling at both Bjorn, the president of the company, and Rampage, saying Rampage is riding that, or dick riding that ass. I don't even know his fucking expression, but he was just like, you dig ride that ass, whatever. And all they were trying to do was hype the next fight at the pay-per-view. Rampage was even turning down his opportunity at a championship so that he could fight King Mo again. The worst faked feud ever in life. That's all I got.
It's up there. Top 3. All right, that was fantastic. That's all I think we needed to know about Bellator pay-per-view, and obviously we can't wait to see Tito fight again, so woo! Rampage, shut up. By the way, you wasn't see King, not King Mo out. Shut up. I saw Reddit. You had a chance. One would say you should have done it during the regulation time, but we have got to move on and bring on Dhiego Lima. Are you ready, Raph?
Wait, I gotta do another 1 minute thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. I'm in that mood. Let's go.
Fuck it. Yeah. Verbal Tap fans, Raph and I have a very strong reputation to uphold as the biggest podcast support of The Ultimate Fighter. We love it. We can't get enough. Here to help us celebrate another amazing week from Tough 19, voted a former top 2013 prospect, and I think that's interesting. From American Top Team, Dhiego Lima. Dhiego, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, my friend. How you guys doing?
Very good. It's hard not to be super happy and upbeat when we're hearing your voice. You know that, right?
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I like to hear that. You know, that's sweet. You got to live, got to live life. Got to be happy, got to be all smiles. It's the way it is,
Now, do me a favor. Remember how smiley and happy you are when I am saying all of these jokes about you in the next couple minutes.
Sounds good. Hey,
Yeah,
there you go. It brings you a bigger smile, because I know there's plenty.
Diego's one of the happiest guests we've had on in a while, which
so.
when you factor in how dangerous he is, just as a human being, it's really a good juxtaposition.
Oh, yeah.
It's a secret weapon.
Are you ready for us to review The Ultimate Fighter?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I can't wait to hear it.
Are you all stretched out?
Yeah,
I'm good to go, yeah.
My vocal cords are all warmed up. I'm ready to do this.
This is the 1 minute review of The Ultimate Fighter. Brace yourselves, because here we go.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, Team Penn trains too much. Daniel Spawn won against Todd Monahan, but really pissed off Dana White in doing so. It's fucking impossible to suck as much as that last fight did. And today, it's Tim Williams versus Dhiego Lima, The Ultimate Fighter. Matt Van Buren criticizes Daniel Spawn for a super unexciting fight. He won that fight, which I guess was good, but, they ain't gonna put no butts in seats. And Spawn says you gotta play it smart in The Ultimate Fighter. Meanwhile, Todd Monahan is taking the loss like a true gentleman. But did he even stand up the entire fight? And at practice, Pat tries to make sense of Todd's last fight with him, and surprise, Todd's mad at Pat for playing devil's advocate. Jeez, Pat, you know you can't play devil's advocate with a preacher. And Frankie Edgar is starting to take the losses hard. I don't understand why we're losing so much. But Dhiego versus Tim is exactly the fight Team Edgar wants. Oh no, Pat's back is giving out. That's what you get for speaking reasonably with Todd and telling him the exact reason he lost, jerk. Uh-oh. Team Penn thinks that the 2 wins in a row will give them a sweep. Hashtag foreshadowing. Meanwhile, BJ's coaching is back to normal. Relax, bros. You can throw hard punches, but you don't have to. Just relax, bros. Tim tells us his backstory. If you had money on I've made a few mistakes in my life as his narrative, then you just won the jackpot. But hey, Tim tells us he's about second chances. Said he hated losing to Dylan Andrews and watching Tough Season 17 at home. So what do the fighters do to pass time in the house? Well, if you're Tim, you serenade Zapata on a morning run and do approximately 3,000 to 5,000 sit-ups a day. If you're the rest of the cast, you play pool, write in journals, and play a game of throw a tennis ball at Mike King's nutsack. Spoiler alert, Mike King always loses. What's that? Everyone was getting along too well this season and they need someone to unnecessarily talk shit? Enter Matt Van Buren. And everyone's got an opinion of the guy affectionately referred to as Gutter. As Ian Stevens points out, they call him Gutter because he started from the bottom in MMA. And look where he's at now. He's at the Ultimate Fighter house with Ian Stevens. I'm not really sure they thought they named through all that much. Matt, super bored though. I just know I'm better than like everybody else in the house. But this doesn't sit well with the Irishman Chris Fields. Oh, that's not very nice, fella. In the van, Tim casually tells everyone, hey guys, have I mentioned I've had a brain aneurysm before my first fight? Awkward. BJ Penn. Tim needs to be in control of the octagon to win. Later at the house, apparently the tough camera guys were starting to fall asleep as they run downstairs to catch some more drama between Van Buren and Fields. Fields, I was just going down to get some water, and he starts talking shit about my accent. Matt, I'm just like, hey, dude, I can't wait to be a douchebag inside of the octagon. And now Dhiego tells us his side of the story. When I was 12, I moved here, bro. And they threw me into middle school without knowing a word of English. But I was like, whatever, I got this language. Dhiego proceeds to tell us growing up that he watched a lot of good movies, like ones with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yikes. Do we need to explain to Dhiego what constitutes a good movie? Dhiego tells us he watched some old school pride fights with Wandy and that he and his bro wanted to become MMA fighters instantly after that. Oh, my brother, he had to get my mom to sign a permission slip to be a fighter. And once he had that, I was like, whoa. Frankie then gives Dhiego some boxing advice, turning body shots into states. Okay, if you hit him here, it's California. Up top, it's New York. And if things get really bad, I need you to hit him down in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? At the weigh-ins, ole, ole. Oh, fuck, again with that bullshit. Team Penn recites the only goddamn chant they know, and it's really starting to get to Dhiego. I'm sick of it, bro. I'm going to tear him up and show him how freaking classy we are by punching Tim in the face, yo. Oh no, Dhiego pulls the biggest mistake of the house so far by asking fighters to help him come up with middle names for his new daughter. But he's a good sport about it and explained that his kids are cool about him fighting for a living. They're like, Dad, why are you getting hit in the face? Next time, just duck. Yeah, kids are awesome like that, though. Gutter closes out the conversation quoting Titanic, and the less said about that, the better. On the day of the fights, Anton gives Tim a photo of him with the half face, half skull, says that's what he thinks of Tim when he sees him. It actually makes him look like death. So, that's encouraging right before a fight, right? In the locker room, everyone tells Dhiego to have fun, says he already is. I believe him. Dhiego says he's a nice guy and all, but once he gets into the cage, it's all business and someone's got to feed his family. Hey guys, take a drink. BJ clapped again. Before stepping out to the cage, Dhiego barks like a dog. Must be a spirit animal. At the fight, Dana must be so pissed from that last fight, he doesn't even bother to go inside to give his fucking 2-round speech spiel. Round 1. Tim presses the action to begin with, pushing Dhiego up against the cage. About a minute and a half of work, he gets a takedown on Dhiego as Kim Winslow's giving out more warnings than a substitute teacher. Team Penn gets one advantage and they're back at cheering ole, ole again. It's annoying. There's tons of hand fighting and Tim is working off Dhiego with hooks in. A strong first round for Timmy brings out the Jersey and Frankie Edgar. You gotta listen to me here, kid! Dhiego survives round 2 to survive and get out into the next round. Mentions go for the takedown, but Dhiego decides to introduce Timmy to New York and California before getting taken down to the mat. Tim heads down to the cage, but Dhiego gets out. Dhiego hits Tim so hard his mouthpiece falls out, and Tim does one of the coolest mouthguard recoveries I've ever seen. We've got a bit of a striking war. Timmy makes one mistake, going for a takedown and taking Dhiego off the cage, and promptly allows Dhiego to secure the back with a rear naked choke to end the fight. Everybody's impressed, even BJ. Hell of a fight, Dhiego. Hell of a fight, bro. Dhiego says the best way to come out of being choked and punched to death, you just got to stay calm. Your time is going to come. Really? Is that all it takes? After a vicious win where Dhiego rejects one of his coaches picking him up, Dhiego then goes back to his smiling and normal self, later even doing a bad variation of the running man with his team in the locker room. And BJ blames too much coaching and too much relaxing on just not doing enough. In fact, he's taken the loss better than any coach in tough history. Bro, it's cool. It was a good fight. And yo, this sandwich I'm eating is the shit, bros. And Tim tells his team not to take anything for granted inside of the octagon. It just takes one bad moment to lose the fight. Van Buren later makes his case to have his fight with Fields, and Frankie can give a shit. And Edgar picks the next fight anyway. Corey Anderson versus Josh Clark. And Fields gives Josh a huge pep talk that somehow involves something to do with Frankie or someone from Team Edgar being a pussy for not picking him. It's weird. Anyway, next time on The Ultimate Fighter, after Tim's loss, Team Penn scales back the training. Team Edgar takes a hike, literally. And fighting rookie Corey Anderson takes on Josh Clark. All next time on The Ultimate Fighter.
Woo! As far as Dhiego, does that about cover it? Does that sound right?
Holy shit, man. You guys are freaking awesome. That's about better than anything I've ever seen.
Oh, see, now he's just our favorite.
You guys got it all, man. That's it.
Dhiego, how do you stay so calm first of all, after hearing Rap's rousing, that was more excited you were after the first round of the fight. How do you stay so calm while you're fighting like that?
Man, I don't know. You just got to, because it sucks in there because it's a 2-rounder. I was trying to stay calm, but I was like, holy shit, man, it's only a 2-rounder, And the thing is, in my mind, I thought I lost a 10-8 round for some reason. So in my mind, I was thinking, even if I win this round, I'm still going to lose. So that's why I was like, man, in the second round, I was just like, let's just go, whatever. I got to finish this guy, and that's what I did. But Man, I don't know. Just have to stay calm. You have to, man, because if you lose your head there, that's it.
Raph, is that how you stay focused on getting through the Ultimate Fighter review?
Sometimes there can be a lull in the Ultimate Fighter review, but I like to take my example from Dhiego, and I like to know if I get in trouble, you just stay calm, you get through it. Maybe sometimes an impression doesn't land. Maybe sometimes you miff a joke or something here and there. It's just like, dude, I got to finish this round. That was a 10-8 joke.
Exactly. There you go. Got you.
So you both win in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Raph, quick note. I'm sorry, it was 1 minute 4 seconds.
That's bullshit, and I want to get a second opinion on that.
That's impossible. I'm the official timekeeper. 1 minute 4
Not
seconds.
Fair. Well, let's transition back to Dhiego, the important person on the line. Dhiego, okay, so explain to me, you have to listen to these ole ole chants, and you do talk about how annoying it was. How did all of that come to be, and why did it get under your skin so badly?
It was, it started because of the Irish guys. Cahal was the first fight. And I think when they play soccer, that's what they do. They do it in Brazil as well, but in Brazil they do a much slower one. They go, ole, ole, like when they're dribbling and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's how they do it right there in Ireland. And I guess you're just supposed to be on his fight, because he's the Irish guy, And then the next fight, same thing. And then on my fight, same thing. And we're just like, really? Like, they need to shut up. You saw the guy's face. Man, I paused every time when after the first round, and then they show our guys just sitting there, and I was like, oh, my God. So, yeah, I think that was pretty cool. And then afterwards, they all jumping and stuff. But, man, he was, because of that. He was Irish, because Cahal was Irish. They started, and I guess they liked it, and they kept doing it.
I guess that was my initial shock, that they were just trying to make it an Irish thing. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure other cultures have claim to that as well, but that's neither here nor there. For you,
exactly, and then they kept doing it every fight, so we're like, oh my God.
I loved you for saying it.
I did too.
Because the first 2 episodes, they were out of control with it. And then when you came in, it's like,
definitely.
Dhiego, they made the note. I mean, obviously, as they introduced you, they mentioned that you were from Brazil originally. And I was like, wait, that's kind of what the Brazilian fighters get when they walk in. So I was just super confused. I was like, shut the fuck up, please. So
exactly. There you go.
So, Dhiego, when that is happening, can you explain how surreal it is to be watching your fight as you're watching it at home? Like, what is that experience like for you?
It's really good. This one I didn't like because that was a shitty-ass fight. I hated my performances. So I had to, I had to hit myself a couple of times. Like, what the fuck was that? Man, jeez, So this one, it's fun and all. I did it at my gym. Got a lot of people that are watching and stuff. But for myself, I'm just looking like, what the hell was that, man? Jeez, really? Like, come on. You can do way better than that.
Because
it's fun, man. It's good.
We've talked with a lot of people from the Ultimate Fighter.
A lot of hard work.
And when we talk with them, they can't tell anybody what the results are. So when you're watching it with your gym, after that first round, are they looking at you like, hey, buddy, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
That was the best, And after the first round, I just got on like, sorry, guys, just shaking my head and being all upset. So everybody's like, oh, geez, I guess he lost, huh? And then, after the victory, man, he was amazing. Everybody's jumping up. They're like, holy shit, they couldn't believe it. It was amazing, man. I played that one out really good,
That's fantastic. Great question too. I hadn't thought about the fact that you'd be watching it real time with like the people you train with. That's gotta be tough too, as like the intermediaries. What about from outside the cage? Was there anything you said that you were like, what was going on there?
Let's see. No, I think I didn't say anything too crazy, I don't think.
No, you come off very likable on the show, and this is after now that we've talked to you for a few minutes. I think I understand why. But you just seem to really enjoy it.
I wanted to make sure they didn't put me out as an asshole, That's the one thing I hate, man. It's because, like, some guys are so nice, and then they make it seem like they're assholes, and that's just one thing I did not want, So that's why I just try to be nice the whole time, and I try to be myself. That's it, that's pretty much how I am. I didn't change being there. I didn't change when I got out of there. You know, I'm just the same old.
I think what I liked the most about you was that you were so nice and smiley in so many of those talking heads. And then right when they got to the fight, it was like, I have to feed my family, so fuck you guys. And I was just like, oh shit, no, he's a super nice guy.
It's a job, you know? Exactly.
But,
it's a job. Outside,
oh,
you know, it's just
God.
my personality. But inside, there's somebody trying to hurt me, you know?
Yeah.
And he actually did. He cut me, you know, I had to get stitches. And, man, I had to get stitches on my eyebrow. Oh, my God, that was the worst. I literally cried getting stitches.
Is that the
Dhiego?
first time you've had
I'm
stitches
telling
there?
you, man, because he stuck the damn needle inside the eyebrow.
Oh,
He was like, dude,
no.
what are you doing, man?
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, geez, that was the worst stitches I've ever had in my life.
Oh, my God.
Dhiego was actually
Yeah.
2-0 that night. He beat up a night doctor at the
Yeah,
Vegas hospital.
I was like, dog, how many more you got, man? Like, come on, dude, go. You know, like, this is crazy. I could feel everything, man. It's a sensitive spot. I hate it. I hate
Yeah. I'm against needles and things near eyes and all of that.
it.
But
Yeah, especially in the eyes, you know, but getting the W is more important. No, I'll
That's
take it
true.
for a W. If I would have lost, I would have probably killed him.
oh, man. Well, I'm glad it didn't come out that way.
Should be thankful you won then too. That's
I guess
Yeah, exactly.
everything worked out good for a reason. You would have probably also went to jail, but we'll.
that would have made a great
Details.
second episode though. They would have definitely
Oh yeah, highest rated tough episode of all time. Dhiego, though,
without question.
if you were there and you're talking about maybe the experience of watching it with your team, I don't have this in my family. I don't have somebody in my family who tells me my jiu-jitsu is terrible, and they would. But for you, what does your brother say to you?
Man, he's actually really proud of me, man. You know, he's
That's
just
great.
telling me to keep it up, you know, because, you know, we're pretty much our best training partners, me and him, you know, like we go at it all every time. So he knows how hard I work and stuff, and he's just proud, man. He said
That's
it was
great.
an awesome fight. You know, I made a couple of mistakes there in the first, but, man, he's just proud, you know. Now he's looking up to me, too, you know. It's like he loved it, and it's just amazing, man. Now him being a champion, you know, it's really good. We've been blessed, you know. It's really, really great having him.
Do you guys, and you said do you guys train together on a really regular basis?
Oh, yeah, every day. We own the gym together, too. So, you know, in the morning we do our pro training somewhere else, and then at night we teach a couple of classes, and then right back to it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I just saw that you
we
trained
only
with American
15
Top
minutes
Team.
away from each other, so, yeah, we're pretty much together all the time.
That's badass. Where is your gym? What's the name of your gym?
It's American Top Team, but in Gwinnett. We got our head coaches in Atlanta, and now we open one in Gwinnett. So there's 2 American Top Teams here in Georgia now.
Very cool. All right. So you're not just one of the fighters. You're running the gym side of things too. That's always
No, yeah. Running the gym, you know, I got to do the kids' classes, a little
Absolutely.
bit of cardio kickboxing, so it's been good. Doing really good.
I was about to say, that's got to be really intense to have you as a kid's instructor, because I can imagine you being super smiley with them and then just being like, okay, kids, kick the mitts. No, but seriously, kick the mitts. But I'm smiley. Come on.
No, I get a little serious on the see, because if you get too friendly with them, they think they're your friend, and then it just starts a whole mess. They won't listen. They just want to play. So I got to make sure I keep a little bit of seriousness in there as well, you know?
I like that.
I would
Dhiego, tell
imagine
me-
you're able to.
Yeah, it's hard, but, you know. And now it's good because the parents have all watching me now, and they're like, wow, thank you for speaking so good about, you know, kids and stuff. So they're on the same boat as me. So it's really good. I'm just glad they got to see the real me, you know. I'm glad they didn't edit me to be an asshole, and it's just great, you know, having them pretty much have me, you know, like.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you, you know, you talked a little bit about when you came here, you're young, like 12 or something like that, and that you started getting into MMA based off of both Pride and off of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Can I ask specifically which Jean-Claude Van Damme movies? Because this will tell me everything about you.
Man, we have watched all of them. Our favorite ones was Kickboxer. What was the other one? Oh man, the blind side. You know, he gets blind at the end with Bolo.
Wait, are you talking? Wait, you're talking about kickboxer and you're talking about Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. There you go.
Yeah.
Kickboxing and Bloodsport was one of the favorites. Those we watched those all the time.
All right,
So
because I
pretty
got a
much
little
it's
worried
all
when
of
you
them.
just said that. I wasn't sure if you were going to be going into sudden death. You're like, I became an MMA fighter after.
Oh no. That's not the real Drake over and them right there. You know? Kickboxer's the one, man. The kickboxer's the one that got it. The 10-4 one, you know, training in the woods. You know, that was the one.
Before we transition out of that, though, I do have to ask you, what is your feeling? And I don't know if you know this, but they are remaking Kickboxer.
I actually saw that with GSP, right?
Yeah, are you okay with that? How do you feel?
I mean, I don't know if I am. I mean, I'm interested to see. Let's just say I'm interested to see what they're going to look like. Like, how they're going to play the story. You know, I'm just interested to see.
Well, that is because when you talk with GSP, it is going to be very much like this.
I just can't.
It's very different.
I can't hear his voice for more than 2 minutes. You know, it's like.
Oh no!
I know I got a horrible accent as well, but you know, just listening to him for an hour and a half, I don't know if I could do that. So
yeah, but you sound like a fighter. Like you sound like someone that could fight. He doesn't have that bass in his voice that even the Jean-Claude Van Diesel had. So I'm pretty nervous.
Yeah. Because Jean-Claude, he had a little accent as well, but he sounded more like a fighter type, you know.
Yeah, not just someone with a lot of questions.
Excuse me. I'm interested to see how they're going to play it out. I'm interested to see the story, and, you know, we'll see. I might just watch it on mute and do the subscript on the bottom, you know?
It might be better that way. Kev, do me a favor. Clock the exact moment on the podcast when Dhiego said he was not impressed with the caliber of GSP's voice performance.
I will. I noted his sharp critique,
So after these Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, you know, how did you get started? Where were you training? How did all that come together for you?
I was, my brother was training. Like, my brother started when he was 14. And I promised my mom I was going to finish high school, you know, because that's one thing she made me promise. So I was like, okay. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I started playing football. By my senior year, I was a captain already. So I did pretty good in football. And then afterwards, I had a chance to go to college and play, but I had an injury that wouldn't allow me, so I decided to start training. You know, I was a big boy. My brother's like, man, you're going to be really good, you know, start training. And I started in jiu-jitsu with Junior Assumpção and Rafael Assumpção, the Assumpção brothers. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, hey, you got to get your blue belt first before you want to fight. So I did. I think it took about 2 years for me to get my blue belt. And then, boom, that's it. I've been in it ever since.
So was jiu-jitsu the first love?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu was, yeah. I was always like, I would spar a little bit. I always loved to bang, you know. Like, everybody was experienced already, but I didn't care. I got thrown right into the wolves, and, man, I just went at it. I just put my head down and swing. I was always like that. I was never afraid to get hit and stuff, you know. So the stand-up came to me pretty good because of that.
Yeah, I saw that it was noted you played football beforehand. Real quick, what position in football did you play?
I actually played defensive line and nose guard.
Wow. Yeah, probably really good for the MMA burst.
Yeah, I was pretty bigger back then. But, you know, it's just those freaking 300-pounders. You know, I handled those guys all day.
So what he's saying is he's ready to fight Roy Nelson. When all the Ultimate Fighter's over, he's good to go.
It's the weight class. Doesn't matter.
That's perfect. If we could make that happen, that would be a really odd couple-looking fight. Dhiego, talk to me as you're looking at this retroactively. You said you were the same person. How do you feel that your fight life has transformed since The Ultimate Fighter?
Man, it's a little different. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard. Like yesterday, I went to the mall. Man, I got stopped like 10 times to take pictures, and I'm like, man, people are actually watching this. You know, it's like it caught me surprised, man. It's pretty cool. He hasn't gotten annoying yet. You know, I'm at the stage where I'm enjoying it. You know, I got fans here and there. You know, people stop with me sometimes. You know, I think it's pretty cool. We'll see. We'll see how it goes from here. You know, it's just getting bigger, but I'm enjoying it right now. It's been fun right now, man.
Have you been like stopped in a weird way yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not
Because
yet.
we need to
We'll see.
prepare
It'll
you.
happen, though.
Yeah.
I get stopped all the time by people thinking, "Hey, great fight last night, winning that championship." You know, I get stopped for that too. They think I'm my brother, but I've always played that one out cool. I'm like, "Thanks, man. Yeah, let's take a picture and stuff." So I just go with it.
That'll be a funny game.
That's what I used to do back in the days when I was playing football and my brother was fighting. You know, after the fight, they'll think I was him, and they'll be like, "Hey, you want to take a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. Get your friends too." You know, like I'll play it off really cool. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm done. Just come on, let's take a picture." So I've always done that, man. It's always been fun.
The Lima. You guys should, at the end of, as like, you guys are like becoming, you'll have to Google image search and see how many times the press and people have posted it as the wrong name. That'll be really funny.
Oh yeah, all the time. And the fan is like, "Douglas, you do UFC, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on." You know?
That's me.
I mean,
it's just fun, man.
Kev, I'm a little nervous here. If this is working so well out on the streets, if these two guys are just gonna swap, like, in the middle of a fight, you're just gonna see like Dhiego walk out of the cage, his brother walk back in, and no one be all the different on it.
That would be awesome, man.
That's genius.
Yep.
I think that would be awesome. Yeah, we're in the same weight class. It can happen.
Plus, we've been talking a lot about like tag team mixed martial arts. The Lima brothers would be up there as early favorites for the tag team title.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The added element of actual brothers, I can already see the T-shirts. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. We don't have a Lima Brothers T-shirt yet. I think we got to invest in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to be on that like yesterday, buddy. Especially if people are stopping you.
I know, right? It's been it should have been on that already.
That's what I'm saying. And you know, you're so far behind, and you basically came up with that idea with us. You need to cut us in at least 20% of merchandise
there you go.
sales. That's what I think is fair.
Dhiego, as the rash guards develop. Yeah.
All just check the interview. That's where it happened.
I love it. Dhiego, I have to ask this. Now, you know, we always love asking what we see on the cameras and what we don't see on the cameras. You know, just take us up to where we are right now. Is there something cool that happened that you wish would have been seen, that you can talk about or that you can tell us that you've seen?
Man, there's so many things. Because in the house, you know, a lot of people talk a lot and stuff. I think there's a lot of conversation that could have made it. You know, most of them probably including Matt Van Buren. He's got, man, I'm telling you, that guy's got jokes for days, man. And they really have. I think they probably played more of his stuff when it's his week to fight. Mm-hmm. But, oh, my God, that dude will drop something like every minute that would have everybody on the floor laughing, you know. Like, he's too funny, and he talks so much shit about everyone else. It's just hilarious, man. I think they need to put more Van Buren stuff, you know. They haven't yet. We'll see towards the end when he's ready to fight and stuff. They'll probably do it, but, man, he'll something in the van, like driving to the gym in the van, like all this stuff, man.
That's so weird. That, like, because the way the show is leading us to believe is the show is leading us and editing us to not like him.
See, that's what the other team. Well, I guess the other team hated him. Like everybody on the other team didn't like him at all. But man, our team like loved the guy. Like it wouldn't be the same without him there, you know. But you know, it's just what's gonna happen is like people are gonna like him and people are gonna hate him. But that's just he's not gonna change. You know, he just doesn't bite his tongue. He'll say what he has to say. You know, like to Chris Field, whoever it is, like he's gonna say what he has to say. I think there's a couple more arguments they get involved in. They're probably gonna show. Sweet. And like he just doesn't bite his tongue. That's how he is, you know. He's real. He's the realest guy. He's probably the realest guy in the house. He doesn't. If he's got to say something, he's gonna say it. You know, he's not gonna talk about somebody and then come to me and say it. You know, he's gonna go tell them first, and then he's gonna come to us and talk about it. You know, he's that type of guy. And I guess people don't like that. You know, it's just. Some people will, some people won't, but that's just how he is.
I'll tell you,
he's not going to talk about behind your back. You know, he's going to tell you in your face.
For our purposes, he's gold for me. So he can keep doing this. I'm good with this.
He's golden for you. He will have you, man. He will have you rolling.
We prefer the loudmouths. I can't imagine why that would be the case.
Yeah.
Hard to figure
Me
out.
neither. Hard to see why.
And Dhiego, you're really accessible. What's your Twitter handle where people can find you?
Twitter at DHLima121.
Very cool. DH Lima 121. We're gonna get your
that's
stock
my
up
Instagram as well, and that's all.
Here's something I find
all
interesting, and I'm curious about this. You are one of the few people that, like, it feels like are in the house after going through sort of the younger ranks of. In 2013, you were named a top prospect, and obviously we didn't necessarily see you in the cage. So, what's it like to have that confidence as you come into the Ultimate Fighter house?
Man, there was I wasn't even thinking about that. There was just so much pressure overall, Like, even the fights to get in the house, man, we didn't know who we were fighting the day. We found out who we were fighting, the day before. And, there was just so much, it was nerve-wracking. How do I say it? It was just, There's so much going into it that I didn't even have time to think about that, Once we all start talking in the house, everybody see their backgrounds, A couple of them knew who I was already. They knew my brother, too. So they knew I was one of the favorites, And, man, I just went in hey, I don't care what they think. I'm just here to beat some ass. I got to do what I have to do. It doesn't matter. Because once you get in there, you see guys that out of nowhere win it, So I just didn't want that to happen. I didn't want people talking all about me. Oh, this guy's going to win it, blah, blah, blah. And then, something happened. You know how it is. I just didn't want that. So I was just trying to be myself and didn't even worry about that.
Absolutely. And I think that's pretty indicative of why we saw you stay so composed. And the composure and even a little bit of drama in these early fights is just so much fun for us, the viewer. So we would, of course, offer our thanks.
Yeah, the first, they're not showing so much stuff about the house and stuff. So I think, I don't know. I don't know. They're not showing a whole lot, man. So it's amazing because they film 24/7. It's like you got a damn camera on your face when you wake up, when you go take your first pee. It's like, man, where's all that at?
Well, I can maybe explain some of that for you. I don't know that I really want to watch you using the facility, so maybe it's better they edit that stuff out.
Okay, maybe a little too far on that one, but
I want to see your training, but I don't need to see the results of the training and being like, oh my God, I got swamp ass tonight, guys. Ugh.
It's talcum powder
the
30.
training sessions too, man. They pretty much, on the training sessions, we went at it all day, our training was so hard and they making it seem like we just did a couple of drills here and there and boom, you fight, No, man, we bust our ass in their training, They haven't showed that yet. I don't know why. It's like, the training was so hard, man, and they're making it seem like it was just a few drills here and there, a few talks with the coach. It's like, no, show the real stuff, man. Show us freaking throwing up, showing us busting our asses,
Well, to be fair,
so
the formula for the show never deviates. That's why we did the whole 1 minute review, because we're like, oh, I can piece this together. Like, even if the experiences are completely different, they still want to show you 5 minutes of training. And then all of a sudden, if you're comparing Team Edgar to Team BJ Penn, you guys look like you're working your asses off, while BJ is being depicted as, no, everybody, it's too hard, sit down, it's cool.
Yeah.
Just show up at the fights, bro.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see how they were training. I can see, man, I knew Tim was doing too much. I mean, the guy's running every day, doing all these sit-ups every day. I'm like, man, he's going to get burned out, man. It's like, I've been in this game for a little bit now. My brother's been fighting ever since he was 14. I've had pretty much 12 to 14 of experience being in it all, and I know rest is one of the most important things, and I was telling, even on our team, there was a couple of young fighters that are doing too much. I'm like, man, you guys have to relax, man. All these cameras here, they're trying to do a little too much, and it's like, just relax, chill, your time will come, man. All the training is done. There's really nothing you're going to do here that you haven't done back at home, It's like, you just got to stay composed and wait for your time. Can't burn yourself out and then boom, you go fight. That's it. You got 1 minute cardio.
I think that's why Kevin and I, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, were so happy when we saw you take that back. We were like, yes, do that. That exactly.
Do it, yeah.
And then seize it. It frustrates me endlessly when I see people take someone's back and then not really punish them for it.
There,
It's
huh?
like,
Yeah, no, I don't even worry about it. I'm like, I've been going straight for the neck, man, and then the hooks will get in, but man, I've been attacking that neck right away.
love it. It's
That's one
effective.
thing I practice all the time. It's just take that neck first and then get the hooks.
Dhiego, this has been great. We've taken up a lot of your time, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you swinging by the podcast.
Oh,
And we
it's
know
good.
you have another fight, and we would like to invite you back for the second part of recap when he eventually fights again.
I'm down, man. I'm down. That'll be fun.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Yeah,
like
sounds
we said,
good. I had a blast, man. You guys are freaking awesome.
find
You're
this
not so
man
bad
on Twitter.
yourself, I guess.
He's so nice. I know.
Yeah. He leaves with a motivational speech for us. It's just like, you guys are like the best. I just want to let you guys know.
Keep doing what you're doing, guys. You guys, man. Way to get on the board. That's hilarious.
We've gotten certainly a lot of good catchphrases for this to go on the board. Ladies and gentlemen, from Tough 19, American Top Team out in Georgia, Dhiego Lima.
Bam, that's right. Follow me on Twitter, bitches. I'm just kidding. Follow me on Twitter, DH Lima 121. And, you know, I can't wait to be back with you guys, man. And I'm going to share this and retweet this. And I had a blast, man. Thank you a lot for having me.
Dhiego Lima. Verbal Tap fans, if you know anything about us, you know our obsession with tweeting live coverage. And we have perhaps no better a guest than the man that's nailing that. We have a lot of questions about your process here, Adam. Adam Hunter from MMA Roasted, AdamHunter.com, a very funny comedian in the MMA world. Of course you know him. He's always tweeting out the fights. How are you doing this evening, Adam?
Good. Thanks for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
We appreciate it too. What do you use to tweet jokes during the fight? Are you using a laptop? Do you have like a team of people you just yell jokes at and they tweet them?
Yeah, I wish. No, it's usually just me. Yeah, I have a laptop or my phone. It's hard sometimes, like when I have because sometimes I'm like in LA. It's easier because the fights start earlier. You know, so it's like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. But it's harder when I'm on the East Coast or on the road because it's usually right when I'm about to go on stage on Saturday nights is when the main event starts. So I'm like, oh, and that's when it gets hard. You know, luckily like Fox Sports, they send me a password to watch the pay-per-views because I did a thing called Text from Last Fight, so I get to watch some pay-per-views and like get it on that. But that's when it gets to be hard when like the fights are going on. You know, but it's not just me. It's funny when two people are like, "Oh man, you guys are hilarious," or "You guys," and I'm like, "This is me." And then I don't want to respond back saying it's only me because that sounds really arrogant. Like,
Yeah, that is a hard thing to respond.
You know, it's like, but I'm better off giving an anonymous, invisible person credit than taking full credit to myself and sound like an asshole. So,
well, let's just be clear on Verbal Tap. People, it's just him, so no need to congratulate multiple people. I think that's impressive because I'm just always shocked how much you get out during the fights.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, it's like I was watching an interview with like Patrice O'Neal, I think it was. Patrice, he was on Fox Sports, and I don't know, I mean, he was on Fox News Channel. It's on YouTube, and some lady was like yelling at him about how his like jokes were offensive or you know, whatever. And he was basically saying, you know, good jokes and bad jokes are born out of the same womb, you know. So a lot of times, like, I'll write, you know, 20 jokes and 10 of them are funny, or 15 of them, 5 of them are funny, or 50, whatever the thing is. But it's like I have to just put them out there, and hopefully people like them. You know, it's so funny when people come at me sometimes going, "Oh, that joke sucked." Or, like, yeah, what about the other 19 I wrote?
Right.
And just because you didn't laugh doesn't mean other people didn't laugh, you know?
Well, that's the whole thing. You're appealing to different senses of humor, and it's a war of attrition most of the times with comedy, where you're just like, you can play to so many different types of levels. Like, when I watch you work, I'm seeing you know, you've got your super crass joke followed by your super funny smart joke. And I'm just like, Jesus, people, this man is working for your approval. Get on the fucking picture.
For free. Like, you know.
Yeah. It's like
Thanks.
Twitter,
No,
and you're telling
I
this guy, like,
appreciate it.
fuck you, dude.
No, and that's the
But
thing. I mean, I the only time I really get attacked are by people who have their own podcast or have their own MMA website or something, and they can't understand, like, what the fuck? Why does he have 38,000 followers and I have 2,000? So I'm going to come after him. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to respond to you because, number one, I would be giving you credibility. Yeah. Number two, you would then know that you're annoying me, and I don't want you to know that, you know. And also, it's like, dude, if you don't like the joke, then write a better joke. You know,
exactly.
That's really the situation. Rather than put down my joke, write your own joke and then see how it does. You know,
I mean, you know, the nice thing about it is, and I think you come from a similar space, is when we're writing jokes during that, I have enough in me where if I see you write a joke, I'm like, shit, dude, that joke won. And the idea is to always, it's a nice competitive spirit, but I'm not going to go up to you and be like, hey, dick, you got there first, and you're
right.
funny.
Oh no, but it's funny though. Cause sometimes people like you take an improv class, they have a thing called a herald, where it's like they go back to where it started, and sometimes like you know, for example, you know, everyone keeps calling out Bisping or Conor McGregor. Or there are certain patterns that like happen in MMA. They're funny. So I would like say things, like Obama just called out Bisping or something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, every time something happened, somebody would write, they called out Bisping. So people are beating me to my own jokes, you know, which essentially means it's time to move to another joke.
Yeah, exactly.
But I still appreciate it. I still favorite it. But I'm like, fuck, man. I guess I can't do those jokes anymore.
Yeah,
it is deadly.
I only tag at MMA Roasted with my good ones.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Sometimes people kill me though. There's sometimes that people like I'll write a joke and someone will write a tag on the joke and the tag's funnier than my joke. I'm like, fucker.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Or someone did, like I wrote I hate auto text on my phone. Like the other day I was trying to text injured and it kept coming up Tito.
I know.
Somebody put they actually had an auto text, I guess an app or whatever, a drawing where they put Tito and injured. And I was like, holy shit.
I gotta say, Adam, the thing I like the best is, and you've cultivated a nice following with the fighters themselves. They seem to really be into it. Like, that's what we found too, is for the most part, as long as you're not saying like, fuck you, you suck, like they tend to realize it's a joke and they get punched in the face for a living. So What has been your experience with fighters, and have you had any fighter go like, hold up, dude, that a little too far?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, for like 99% of the fighters, they either follow me and have come on the podcast. I'm talking about like big fighters, like guys like Chris Weidman or Johnny Hendricks or, Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson. I get people like that I'm like, holy shit.
Name dropper.
No, nice. But I'm saying, what I'm saying is, like, if I didn't have that Twitter, it would be so hard to get to these people, Yeah. If I didn't have, like, a direct DM line to them, I'm like, holy shit, I get to, and then they actually respond. It might take, like, 4 or 5 times. Like, I mean, Nate Diaz, every single week, I DM him going, hey, man, look forward to having you on the show this week, knowing he's not going to respond. And then he'll respond like every 5th week, like, sorry, bro, man, keep tweeting me.
Sorry. No, bro, like, sorry, it's just this weed is so fucking killer. It's like, I can't,
Yeah,
what I mean?
Exactly. The problem sometimes gets when a fighter is not following me, and then I'll write a joke about a fighter, and then someone will tag that fighter in the joke. For example, with Melvin Gillard, like 2 weeks ago, I wrote a joke that Tim Boach is so white that Melvin Gillard tried to snort him, and Melvin Gillard saw that and wrote like, "Wow!" And then I was like, "Hey, Melvin, I'm a big fan," And then he's like, "Big fan when you make comments like that." And I was like, fuck. So I said, hey, look, Melvin, if you look at the context of the joke, it was in a video with like 10 other jokes, And And then he looked at it, and then he responded back like, "Hey man, it's all good. I'd love to come on your show." So he was super nice about it, but I had to explain to him that it was like but I could see how out of context you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
I heard Tim Bosch was pissed about that joke too. I'm kidding.
Brendan Schaub got upset. Brendan Schaub was probably the guy who got the most. He got the most upset of me. Schaub, and I think I wrote like one joke. That's weird. I said like Brendan Schaub said that nothing will stop him from getting the belt except everyone he fights. It was like very simple like set up, knock it down joke.
They don't all have to be. Yeah, that's a good one though. Like I like it when fighters that are nowhere close make super bold claims. Yeah, it's good. It's like,
and you know what the stupid part is? You could literally put a blank in front of that name and just be like BJ Penn blank.
Yeah, exactly. It was nothing personal, and it was sort of. But I guess maybe I said something like. I guess maybe it was after he got knocked out, or I made a joke like he wants to borrow one of Roy Nelson's chins or something. Maybe it was that. But it was one of those jokes that he got upset about, like really upset about, and like blocked me. I know if they block me, I'm like, okay, they get upset, and then so
you should start an email collection of fighters that block you. That would be kind of a cool.
There's only like 4 or 5 of them, actually. There's like about 5 of them that have blocked me. And Shep, but the thing is that I'm good friends with Brian Callen, who does a podcast with Shep. So I sort of kind of made peace with him through Callen. I told him, like, listen, man, if Shep does something to me to make jokes about him, no problem, And I know he's good friends with Ellenberger, and like they train together, and same thing. I guess maybe it was just sort of like you can catch anybody on the wrong day, and they can get upset. And I have nothing against Brandon Schaub or really any fighter. Brittany Palmer got upset too.
Ooh,
Brittany Palmer was like that was a rough one.
Yeah, why would she get like violently upset? Just out of curiosity, I'm surprised that she would be sensitive to anything. I just said that more
fighters have pulled out of 51 than Brittany Palmer, and she didn't take that very well.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, that's a joke at UFC 151, I think, more than anyone's expense. Like, I think she's...
Yeah, and it was like, honestly, I know she dated one fighter. I don't even know, but I had a bunch of fighters DM me, like, dude, that like, joke was hilarious, keep making Brittany Palmer jokes. But I've had fighters send me pictures of people they don't like in, like, compromising positions and telling me to post them. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not posting this,
Are you out of your...
It's so weird that you become this like gatekeeper for all of this information. People just send it to you. They're like, Adam, do something with it.
That's what they say. They go, listen, I don't want like do whatever you want with this, but you didn't get it from me. And I have a fighter like wearing a bra and like in his underwear or like a naked fighter. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking posting this. At the same time, I may have sent it to another fighter saying, do what you want with this.
Sure.
But,
right. So, Adam, tell me, Kevin and I are comedians, so we understand your pain. We know the fight. But for us, we've always been interested. How did you decide to start doing, like, comedy, but with this kind of nice slant for MMA?
Well, what happened was I was John Heffron. I don't know John Heffron. He won last Comic Standing, and he's a pretty big comic. I was his opener for a while on the road, and he's a huge fight fan. We would watch fights together all the time. And he was hosting the World MMA Awards one year, and he asked me if I could write jokes for him. So I had all these jokes that I wrote for the Fighters Only MMA Awards, and then that went well. And then they were very kind of they were very how should we say it? They were very they didn't want to offend people in the award shows. I had all these jokes that I wanted people to say, but I couldn't say it. And then I ended up getting hired like the next 4 to 5 years for that award show. But I had all these jokes about MMA fighters based on that I had nowhere to go. So I then started this MMA Roasted account, and then I started putting them up there, and I just couldn't believe the amount of response I was getting from people. I was like, holy shit. There's a community of people that want to laugh, that know about this stuff that nobody's really hitting, and that I'm enjoying doing this with, So then I was, because like, you know, if I go on stage tonight at this comedy club and I do a Costa Philippou joke, I mean, people are going to look at me like I'm fucking nuts. I mean, you know, and they look at me like I'm nuts anyway. No, it'll be even worse, you know. Maybe it'll be one, even like a John Jones joke, or people still don't even know John Jones. So 90% of people that go to comedy clubs. I hate to say it, you know, but that's the truth.
No, we
it's my
hear you there.
experience. So then I started making these videos, and they were doing pretty well. And then Fox Sports contacted me and said, "Hey, we want you to do this thing called Text from Last Fight, where you pretend that your fighters texting each other during fights." Great. And then I had a podcast that was the MMA Roasted podcast. They picked that up as well, which led to a new job I'm starting this week over at with like YouTube, like a YouTube sports like type daily show. So it's been great, you know. I mean, there are times that like I'm like, man, if I put as much effort into my regular comedy career as I was doing MMA Roasted, I'd probably have my own hour fucking special by now. Like, what am I doing? You know. On the other hand, you know, it's I'm not burning material that way. Like, you know, people are coming to see my show and seeing an hour of jokes they've never heard, and I'm really coming up with like an extra 10 minutes a month on fighting for that particular audience, you know? So it's like, as long as it doesn't consume me to the point where my stand-up comedy career, like, just fucking folds, I think I'll be all right. But that definitely sometimes is a concern that I'm spending too much time on MMA jokes and not enough time. But the thing is, MMA jokes, like, you know, there's an audience there 24/7. I mean, there's like, I could do a joke at 4 o'clock in the morning and people in England are laughing, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm getting about like an average of 20 to 30 people a week come to my shows just from who are MMA fans.
MMA jokes? And
Just
here's
for
what I'll
the
say.
fans. I mean, what was that?
No, I was just going to say, it sounds never more have sports and the comedy coverage sort of been out there, and other sports have like the fantasy angle more than MMA has figured out. So you're filling, and obviously there's a need for the humorous coverage of MMA, which is why I think even MMA Roasted is such a good title for it.
Oh, no, thanks. No, and I get people all the time, but like, dude, this fucking fight sucks, but because of your stupid commentary, I'm laughing my ass off. I can't tell you how many people are saying, like, oh, man, I just spit my drink out because of you, or you owe me a beer, or, bro, I mean, even like fighters, even fighters themselves are like, I mean, guys like, all of a sudden they'll be like, Jerome Max Holloway will be like, what the fuck? I mean, I had, the other day I had Leonard Garcia tweeted me like, hey, man, your jokes get me through training. Thank you. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking helping a guy out training wise, you know. And I do happen to. I think a part of it also was I used to wrestle in high school. I was granted it was prep school, but I was a 4-time state champ in high school, and then wrestled in college, and then I coached. I've been coaching for about 9 years out in LA. So I coached a middle school wrestling team and started a high school program for wrestling. So, you know, there was never really like a professional wrestling when I was growing up. It was like WWE, but there's never really like a, and this sort of became like I would say the major leagues for wrestlers, you know. So I think that's why sometimes my comedy does pretty well with them, because I have a kind of a jock mentality, and they can kind of relate, you know.
I have 2 questions from here. The first, so you're teaching middle school kids wrestling. At some point, do you start roasting them? Second question, when we're really talking about like what it is you're doing and how all of this is coming together, do you find that some of the fighters enjoy you all that much more because you are training? Because Kevin and I do find that like the fighters are okay with us until we mention, oh, by the way, we train jiu-jitsu, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, you're idiots, but I get it. All right, we're cool.
Yeah, you know, I think that, you know, what was it, like probably like 80% of mixed martial artists, for the second question, first one, I'm not going to roast the kid. I do say funny shit sometimes, but it normally goes over the kids' heads. So it's like the only people laughing are like the other coaches. But as far as the thing is, I think that, I think a lot of times, like when I post pictures of me coaching the kids, the fighters see a different side of me, and they're like, oh, okay, he's not just some fucking keyboard warrior making jokes at our expense. He's actually helping kids, you know, and helping kids in the sport that like they were helped at. So I think that, you know, I think a lot of them are really, really cool. And I've also trained with some fighters before. I used to train over at Legends. I mean, I suck at jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to lie. I freaking get a takedown and then go right for a guillotine and end up in guard the entire fucking time. And I think I'm like.
I was about to say, I was like, you're in a safe zone here. We all tell jokes for a living. We all get paid to tell jokes for a living. However, we also all suck at jiu-jitsu. So we're amongst friends here. We train terribly.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, it was pretty funny because actually, like, the first time I did a video, I just got bashed on the underground. People were like, this guy sucks. Who the fuck does he think he is? Blah, blah, blah. Go fucking kill yourself. This and that. And then someone's like, I train with him in wrestling. He's pretty good, but he gasses early. And that's what I'm like. I'm like, I gas early. I'm fucking 35. I'm a comedian on fucking Adderall and antidepressants. Gas early. Like, really? Like,
Also, what is with the guy trading insider knowledge on your YouTube comments? Like, that's not fucking fair. Off limits, dude.
At the same time, I was actually honored that I even like been put in the same category as someone who would be described as gassing early, you know?
Yeah, that actually is. He's pretty good, but he gasses early.
That kind of made my day, actually. It kind of was like, I kind of like had a whole new respect for myself at that point. I'm like, I gas early. Yeah, that's fucking. But yeah. So I think that I think that when people find out that I coach wrestling, there's a whole different respect to it, you know. And I do feel like also it's funny because like, you know, I've like been attacked by, I'm not even gonna mention it, but certain like feminist groups and certain whatever, saying how bad I was for women's MMA because of some sexist jokes I made or something. And I'm like, dude, I fucking coach girls wrestling. I've had like over hundreds of females on my wrestling podcast. Like, the girls are the ones retweeting most of my fucking jokes half the time. You know, it's just like it's like their own thing that like is getting in the way of something. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. Because
I mean, the antithesis of comedy is always going to be agendas. Like, if you've got people out there that are just trying to come at you with whatever agenda they're doing, they're just using your joke as the platform to do that.
Absolutely, and not to mention it's a fucking joke. Like, that's the thing. It's like one thing about like the difference between what I do and most people do is most people just make comments like this guy sucks or he's terrible or he has no heart or they should cut him. Like, you'll never see me make a straight comment about anybody unless it's positive. Like, keep your head up, or you're a great fighter, or hey man, you know, whatever. It's positive. I'm never gonna fucking bash somebody, but I'll do it in an art form of a joke to elicit laughter, and that's to me a positive thing. It's a joke. It's supposed to make people laugh. And the problem is that there's a victim to every single joke.
And I was gonna say, what feminist group is turning to you to be the voice of their issues? It's again.
I don't even want to give her credibility because they'll listen to this and then they'll fucking blow up again. But yeah, the whole point was that I didn't respond to it. My whole point is that jokes are for laughter, and that's what I'm trying to do. And there's a victim to every joke, and I try to victimize each group or each thing equally. You know, make fun of male fighters, female fighters, straight fighters, gay fighters, this fighter, that fighter. And to me, that's equality. And just because someone makes a joke that you don't find funny doesn't mean that it was meant to offend you, and that you have to come after me for it.
And to my knowledge, I'll have to fact check this. A joke has never denied a woman a right to vote. So I'm mostly sure that's the case.
Yeah, I know.
If we keep looking through the analogs. What about the fun side? What are you taking away from, because you're obviously, I mean, Twitter, I guess there's no real sense of like bad Twitter. I mean, people are awful, but you're also blowing up in a positive way. What do you find has been a good transformational few stories you've gotten from people?
Well, I mean, it's been great. I mean, as far as like, I got to direct some great videos at MMA Awards this year. I did the Mark Munoz Miley Cyrus video. I directed that. And, you know, my friend Jason Harris came up with the band say, and I wrote the lyrics for it. And, I mean, getting to meet all these fighters has been amazing. getting, have meetings like, Chael Sonnen came to my show, Frank Trey came to my show, and
no shit.
Josh Barnett, all these, big guys coming to my shows and just making them laugh. And just being able to, work with Jake Ellenberger every week on a podcast and just sort of, these are really positive people, people that are going for something and people that are really good to be around. Well, I love hanging out with comics, but some of my comic friends are the most miserable, negative.
Oh, God.
beings. Like, all they want to do is bitch about Chris D'Elia. So it's nice. It's nice sometimes to get out of that world.
You can only hear so many not getting laid jokes before it's like, get a fucking gym membership. It's not okay the way a lot of you look. Come on.
Yeah, that, and it's also like, let's just sit here and bash on other comedians. It's nice sometimes to be around people that are like, hey, I'm going to get up and work out and eat healthy. And
they've got endorphins pumping. Feel good about their lives and bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of cool. It may not be the funniest, but it's definitely kind of cool. So yeah, that's been a positive. It's just, having Dana White come to my show, that's been awesome. And
here's a question: what does Dana White, as a performer, when you're looking out to the audience, what is his reaction like?
What are his nonverbals?
Do you pump up the F word? Do you just look at him?
He was dying laughing.
Was he?
He was dying laughing. Yeah, and honestly, having his approval to me, it was like when I did Leno. I was almost more nervous to perform in front of Dana than with Leno. It was some weird fucking way. There was something. I obviously want Jay Leno's approval too, but there was something really very useful about Dana. Like the first time I met Dana, I think I talked to him for an hour and a half in the middle of a casino lobby. And he's just sitting there answering every question, and he's so excited to talk to a fellow MMA fan.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, people that have been in the business for a while, a lot longer than I have, they just been shit on by so many people as far as your sport is a joke, or you guys should be banned, and you guys are fighting in cages like animals. And so I think the more mainstream success people get, the more they love it, and that's why I think also guys like Big John McCarthy or Pat Miletich or Dana or Matt Lindland, some of these old school guys that follow me are very appreciative because they were in the dark ages of the sport.
Yeah, the trenches. People were angry.
In the trenches. So the fact that they got some young comedian making, not that young, but younger comedian making jokes about making jokes about their sport, making people laugh. To them is pretty cool, and funny to them,
And that's the whole thing is this sport is still in many ways in its infancy in terms of how people are doing that. And I think for you, not only was it right time, right place, but a work ethic where you're putting out these jokes so consistently that people are getting into it. And it's fun because, we have fun at the expense of the fighters and the jokes there. And it's a nice social environment that makes watching the fights all that much more fun.
Oh yeah, no, I've had fighters get mad at me for not roasting.
Really?
To be honest, I've had Kevin Randleman, we had on the show, and he's like, when are you gonna roast me? What the fuck? He kept asking me to roast him, and then I had him on the show. We talked about how great he was, and he's like, he got upset. He's like, I thought I was gonna get roasted, not toasted. So then I was like, all right. He caught me on the wrong day. I'm like, all right, now you're getting roasted. So I put on Twitter, anybody the next 10 people who write Kevin Randleman jokes get an autograph, some bullshit. And then I said, and then I kept going about Kevin Randleman. I made a joke about him. He got upset and got into his car, but he ran out of gas in 5 minutes. And all these people started writing jokes about Kevin Randleman to the point, there was 50 people. And then to the point where within 5 minutes, I get a text. All right, man, I'm sorry. I promise I'll do your show anytime. Please stop roasting me. He's and then he calls me up, and he's like, man, my wife is so angry at me right now for asking me to roast you. She's like, dude, it was the funniest thing. Kevin's like, he's like, please, he's like, uncle. It was so funny. But then me and Kevin developed a friendship out of it. He was really sick recently. He had really bad MRSA, staph infection. Mm-hmm. He was on his deathbed almost, and he's texting me to tell everybody that to cheer him up because tweets make him feel better. So, I became friends with Kevin. I've never met Kevin, but I felt he's like, dude, I'm writing a book, and you're gonna be the first person I'm gonna hand deliver it to you. So it's a matter of, and then I like tweeted out like, hey, everyone, please, cheer Kevin up. And then next thing I know, Vinny Magalish and Big John McCarthy and all these guys were like, Kevin, hope you feel better, Kevin. So, to me, that was kind of cool.
Absolutely, and there's the positive side. That's the beautiful thing about it, especially as it continues to gain in fame. And obviously, the numbers don't lie. People want that. People want the hilariousness. I was going to say you and Raph are my girlfriend's favorite people to watch during fights. Because as a not necessarily MMAer that gets drugged to a lot of these, she's like, it helps. It definitely helps.
Well, the funny part is when I have I'll get I used to do a lot of Randy Couture jokes about him being married 12 times or something, and then Randy Couture's ex-wives will all retweet it.
You're killing in the Randy Couture ex-wives demo.
That's your demo.
Oh, dude, yeah. I had that. I had Matt Riddle's girlfriend would always favorite jokes about Matt Riddle. I had some of the parents. I had Ronda Rousey's mom retweeted a joke that I made about Ronda. I had Colton Smith's mom. I have a lot of the mothers. Jessamine Duke's mom. I have a lot of mothers following me. Tank Scoggins' mom. I have all these mothers that are retweeting the jokes about their son.
I mean, I feel like what you were telling us about Randleman was a cautionary tale, but I'll invite it. We can't have you on here without roasting us. So if you were to roast myself and Kevin, what would you say about us?
I got to do research, man. You can't put me on the spot. I would probably be about the fact that, I don't even know why this is a podcast. Because we can just call each other and we'll have the same amount of people listening. I mean, something about that.
Oh, that's fair. I mean,
no one's listening to the
that's
podcast.
That's actually that it hurt and it was funny. So that's when you know you're killing.
I mean, here's the thing, though. It's much like when you go to someone who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. They'll show you a move. I feel that's the burden that you carry now, is that you are a black belt on social media. So when we come to you with that, it's a high standard, but I believe in you. I'll give you some time. You have plenty of time to make fun of us. We're not short of things to be made fun of, but I only feel it's fair to have people make fun of us. Since we're making fun of the fighters and whatnot. So,
Yeah, no, people make fun of me all the time, and it's when they say, you suck or die or something, so I won't retweet it. But if it's a well-crafted joke, I'll be like, it's funny. I always got to give people credit. I remember Abel Trujillo made a rap song about my forehead. And,
I think that's the most work Abe Trujillo's ever done for an opponent.
I think so.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Abe Trujillo.
Yeah.
Is he good? I didn't see this.
it was a pretty good. Yeah, he made a rap song about how my hairs were fucking fighting for the last spot on my forehead or something. It was definitely funny. I was definitely honored by it. The fact that he sat down and wrote a rap song about my forehead. I mean, the fact that you take your time out of his day to make songs about my forehead. Yeah, I think I'm winning too.
Yeah, I think you're making it in the world if that's the case.
Well, the hard part is when people people are like, hey man, you guys obviously are comedians and have a podcast and train. Obviously we have a lot in common, and I'm sure you can write shit. But when people sometimes could have they're in some Ring of Fire league or a smaller tier organization. They're their records are 1-1. They're like, roast me. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
I can't do doing research right now. It's
right.
That's when it gets
almost
hard.
worse. It's I'm sorry, you're not there yet. It's just oh.
Yeah, I don't want to say that. And so then I'll be I could do the standard. I googled your name and it came up who, But there's only so many fucking times you could kind of do that,
Maybe what you should do is just put a whole bunch of stock jokes on cards and just hand them out to people and just be like, "Oh, you're not famous enough, but I had this on."
Here you go.
On there. It's the punchline is Lindsay Lohan and you sucking as much as her, but fill it in as you want. You're welcome.
Yeah, right. I mean, otherwise it becomes a very obscure. I did that with Vince Pichel. He's like, "Hey man, could you roast me?" I'm like, "All right." I gotta look it up. I'm like, he's from Lancaster, or something to that, the point where I'm like, yeah, he obviously is from hell, or it should be from that, something to that extent. But it was so obscure, and only Vince and his 4 family members would get it. So it was I can't be doing personalized roasts,
Well, you're also not available for parties at like children's parties. You don't hire you to come at someone's bat mitzvah and just start running the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. I've done that before. I ended up, if you look up comedian attacked at a wedding, I did a wedding one time. They hired me
I was about to
roast
say,
everybody.
you brought this up, not me, but I am interested in hearing this story. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I got hired off this thing called like Gig Masters, for like basically, someone's having a party and they need a comic, or so these couple, I think they were getting married. They were getting married, but they didn't really necessarily want to get married. They were military couple, super nice, and they were like, hey, just roast everybody, pretend you're the minister, and then start roasting people. I'm like, okay, anything I'm going to say about? No, I just so within 5 minutes of me pretending that I'm marrying them, I start going to the crowd, and I have no real information about anybody. So I look at this one guy. It's going okay. There were kids there and blah blah blah. So I say to this one guy, he had highlights. He was wearing white, kind of looked like the guy in one of those in the Goo Goo Dolls, lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls. And I was like, hey, sorry, your band never made it, or it's like retarded Bon Jovi or something like that. And first he gave me the middle finger, and then he got up and charged me, and then he pushed me. He's like, what the fuck, man? Not cool. I mean, no one, to his credit, no one knew there was a comic that was going to be there, and I guess he didn't want to. I guess his band really did break up, but it was one of those awkward. It's all there's 50 Marines there, so it wasn't like I could just double lamp the guy and fight. Plus, I hadn't been paid yet, and I still had another 45 minutes to go in my set. So after that happened, I continued with the set, and it almost got even worse, because then the mother started yelling at me, going, we don't want to hear your dirty jokes about your sex life. I'm like, I'm a fucking comic that they hired. They had another 30 minutes of the most awful, and some people were dying laughing. Their heads they didn't want to admit they were laughing, but their heads were buried, but they were laughing. And while other people were just shocked, looking around, I didn't realize I was in the middle of some family feud that had been going on for 100 years, and they hated the brother, who hated the husband, who hated this and that. And somehow I became the catalyst of all this. And while I'm doing the comedy, I'm looking in the house, and the guy's pacing around, and you could see him through the window. So he's pacing around. The fucking mother's yelling at me, and I'm telling the bride how big her tits are. It was just a fucking mess. But I actually got 4 business cards to do their weddings afterwards, and it made
That's amazing.
And it made the top 10 worst weddings in the history of the world in England. So that's actually, I'm on some TV show in England.
That's fucking amazing.
Kev, I have to show you this video. It is it is one of the best things I've ever seen, and I think it's a true testament, because as a comic, you both understand how hard it is to do what you're doing in that kind of environment. And then when the stakes are raised, you also know, well, shit, I'm pot committed to doing this thing. So, yikes. So that's where I know, for me personally, a huge amount of respect was given to you, where I was just like, I don't know what I would do here. This is fascinating to watch, because
the week before I did a baby shower, which went pretty bad as well. So, but it didn't go that bad. But it's a funny story how this all ties into MMA. So Stefan Struve, right after he got knocked out by Mark Hunt, was in the hospital, and he's I think his tooth went through his jaw, or something kind of crazy thing happened to him. So he writes on Twitter, MMA Roasted, I'm in the hospital on painkillers. Please make me laugh, right? So I was so I sent him that video, right? And then he goes, oh man, no matter how bad I feel, I didn't get beat up by Bon Jovi.
Oh man, that has just one of those. It's that should be a sitcom. They should follow the comedians around to a 12-part, because someone got hired for a funeral.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I have a show I sold called Kamikaze Comedy, where we do comedy and people aren't expecting it. And for example, we told these old people they're getting a motivational speaker at the old age home. and they get like the filthiest comic in the world, and we tell these girls they're getting a male stripper for their bachelorette party, and they get like a little person comic shows up. So we did all these like things, and I told them Fuel TV, and then Fuel became Fox Sports 2, and now I have the show back. I'm trying to resell it, and yada yada yada.
Sweet.
But yeah, that should hopefully one day that will be a show.
I was gonna say I will be watching the shit out of that. Had you roast at the wedding? Oh my God, tensions must have just been running at an all-time high. Well, Adam, we've taken up so much of your time tonight. AdamHunter.com. You can find all of this man's hilarious work. MMA Roasted is the Twitter handle. It's the everything handle. It's also the name of the podcast. Adam, anything else? How else do people get a hold of you? That
Adam
covers it, right?
Or MMA Roasted, and thank you guys. Thanks for having me on the show, and good luck with everything. And if you're ever in LA, look me up, man. I'll hook you guys up with some spots.
Oh, sweet. That'd be great. Well, I'm out in LA, and if you ever want to come train and have a who's worse off, I'm always down for that, my friend.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, MMA Roasted's Adam Hunter.
Take care, guys.
Got a little story for you. Gracie Mac posted pictures. That's how you know it's true. I got a position, he got a position. Back and forth we went around and round, round and round. You know I'm the king on the ground. I dominated Eddie. Dominated Eddie. Did you see how I let him sweep me over and over again? I dominated Eddie. That great Andre couldn't catch me, no lightning strike again. And did you see how I blew up my own knee when I dominated Eddie? See, I started out on top, then I sprung my plan. I went for the rape joke, and it fell into my hands. I rolled over and went for that thing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So, it is time for another UFC pay-per-view, which can only mean one thing. Right, Kevin?
Woo! That's right. I'm stretched out, lubed up, and drinking. I'm ready for Over Under Kevin.
Okay, that's great. Why do you have to lube yourself up?
I don't know. I felt bad as soon as I said
Follow-up question. Okay. Why do you have to tell us?
It's both fair questions, and I apologize on both accounts.
That's fair. Well, Kev, I always rack my brain trying to figure out who it is we should have you matched up against, right?
Yes, I do know that. You use your and it's a huge head, people.
Huge head.
When he
really
says racks
big.
his brain, he's talking about a lot of real estate.
And, Kev is really being nice about it. My head is ginormous, so it's really hard to miss. However, this week I decided we needed to bring somebody who packs a punch, who brings not only the funny, but also maybe the musicality.
We don't know anyone like that. I don't know anyone that can do those things.
I believe we do. In fact, our good friend, Mr. Brandon McCaghren. Brandon, how are you doing tonight?
I'm glorious and wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I want to thank you for taking this challenge. But before I get
I'm sorry. You have Brandon McCaghren here to challenge me at Over Under Kevin? What is
That's
this,
correct.
amateur 30?
I also happen to be lubed up.
Oh, Brandon, this isn't a guitar playing contest. This isn't some sort of talent show. This is big boy stuff.
I know. That's why they called me. They called in the big dogs.
I'm only a little nervous just because I really like his Alabama twang. It just makes everything he says sound more authoritative.
Did you say twang?
Yeah.
Twang?
Because
you're lubed up, and that makes a different situation depending on which of those two you select.
Wow, this segment's going really south fast.
It is indeed, Raph. It is indeed.
All
Before we
right.
go any further, Brandon, how have you been since we made you famous a couple weeks ago?
Really good. I just signed a movie deal.
Sweet.
Yep. I'm going to be starring in Talladega Nights 2.
You
That's
actually you
You
have
would
to pick a
work
different
really
movie
well.
because that's super believable.
I
I think
wouldn't
half
even
our
have
audience
to
was like, "Yeah, probably, right?" He's his new musical friend that's like a jiu-jitsu trainer. That might not be. That's actually a pretty enticing plot line. We should call somebody.
I have a pet bobcat. I just carry it around everywhere.
Now, Brandon, I do have a bone to pick with you before we start the game, which was I got a text from you maybe a couple days after we posted your podcast, and it said, do you remember what it said?
Yeah, I remember what it said. I was a little bit offended, just to be real honest with you.
Okay, what were you offended about?
Well, it was y'all tried to sing at the end of the podcast. That was a poor choice.
Oh,
It was poor.
It's like he's throwing down firecrackers on my parents' steps right now, Raph. This is
Kev,
offensive.
Just to really get in your head, this is the text I got from him, Kev. Don't ever try to sing my song again.
It's fair.
Was that an impression?
That was,
It was
I guess,
spot on.
that was not bad.
You're welcome.
I could feel the sexy pouring out of your vocal cords.
I think I speak for everyone in the jiu-jitsu world that saw it. We've all been singing your goddamn song. It's the "I dominated Eddie" is one of the catchier lines, and I say that like I would say that to Kesha. It's not a compliment necessarily, Brandon. It's driving me crazy.
That was hurtful.
Now you understand.
I'm working on a new one called "Reap the Knee."
Ooh, that's a great one.
That's right.
Pre-sold to all of your local jiu-jitsu radio stations across the world.
It's already been banned by the IBJJF.
Genius. Slam dunk on that one.
And
well,
discounted
gentlemen,
by members of the Gracie family, but that's neither here nor there.
neither here nor there. Gentlemen, we are here for a real purpose, which is to go through the UFC 173 card. The way it's going to work for those unfamiliar with the game of Over Under Kevin, I'm going to go through each fight. Each of our contestants here are going to have 15 seconds to say who they think is going to win the fight. Then, if I so feel it, I will give them rebuttal time. Do we all understand the rules of this game?
Yes.
No.
Perfect.
Yes.
He's fine.
I think he's okay. He's a little confused, but that's not at all unusual for Brandon.
Even playing ground, because I'm always a little confused. I'm never completely
Brandon,
not confused.
just to make sure that we've said this enough, Kevin has never won.
Ever. I've lost every goddamn time.
Well, I don't think anybody's surprised to hear that information.
Fuck you. Yeah. Okay.
I just love.
So you're a white belt. You're a white belt at life too.
Oh snap! I just love the fact that as all of this is happening, when we did contact Brandon to be on the show, he was already talking shit about Kevin in a way that I was like, save it for the podcast. You don't need to blow your wad here. We still got more to do.
That's the first blow your wad reference that anyone's made tonight, despite all of the lube talk. So I think we're ready to start.
I do too. All right, gentlemen. Now it's time for the thrilling installment of Over Under Kevin. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and put 15 seconds on the clock. We're going to start with Kevin Phillips to give his prediction in the lightweight category between Michael Chiesa versus Francisco Trinaldo. Go, Kev.
Trinaldo keeps losing despite continuing to lose body fat. Michael Chiesa has a lot to prove. It's going to be beard power over Trinidad power. Michael Chiesa will win this fight. Plus, I have a tough parlay going. Former cast members of Tough.
That never works. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go over to Brandon. Who do you have in this fight? 15 seconds on the clock. Go.
I'm going to go with Francisco because Michael sounds too white.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound... And because Kevin picked Michael. That's a bad sign.
Wow, using maybe the best
First of all,
of betting odds ever.
Our friend James Coe, who works at the NFL Network, he's an anchor there, said this publicly. He's like, if you just literally did everything Kevin was going to say but the opposite, that's a very winning strategy. So I don't like what you're off to because he beat me handedly. I'm not enjoying that already.
Brandon, how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about James Coe? He's beautiful.
Okay. Yay.
I don't know. I don't know who James Coe is either.
Oh, that's a shame. He was on your podcast episode. You didn't listen to it. I'm not going to give you any rebuttal time. Going to the next fight.
Negative
James
points.
B. It's James B. Coe. I was just kidding. Don't. Just relax, man.
This is not a relaxing job. Being
relaxing.
the moderator on this is not relaxing in any way
High
possible.
intensity.
To the next fight, we go. Another lightweight bout. This one is Al Iaquinta versus Mitch Clark. We start with you, Brandon. Go.
I'm gonna go with Al Iaquinta.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about either one of these guys either. I should probably ask Kevin. Kevin, your thoughts on either of these gentlemen?
I actually I agree with him. I have Al
I'll
Iaquinta.
change my pick.
Shut up. You can't do that. That's not how this works.
I'm going to allow it.
Shut up, Raph. You bastards. Mitch Clark's nickname is Danger Zone. I'm not joking you. So if you guys really think you want to smack Kenny Loggins in the face so publicly, you be my guest.
Your time is done. Enough defending Kenny. He's already got enough on his side. Brandon, are you sticking with your switched choice after hearing Kevin's plead?
No, I'm going to say Al Iaquinta kicks the tires and lights the fires against the Danger Zone.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the way that you are rhyming that. That is
Double
so
Independence Day
well
reference,
done.
too, which is gorgeous.
Damn, son. So Al Iaquinta is going to be the victor, according to you. We're going to our next fight. It is Robbie Lawler versus Jake Ellenberger. We're starting with Kevin. 15 on the clock. Go.
This one was tough for me because Robbie the Ruthless Lawler is the number one, but I'm going against the sublime tattoo he's got, or the abs. I'm going with Jake Ellenberger. Big time upset. Plus, Lawler's minus 260, and I'm trying to win some money.
Kev, have you ever won money betting?
No,
on
ever.
MMA?
Never once.
Okay.
It's never happened. So
Just wanted to double check.
Just throwing that out there.
Brandon, who do you have in this fight?
For sure. I know both of these guys. I got Lawler. Lawler by knockout. It's not gonna go the distance.
Oh, damn it. He's probably right.
Okay.
Pretty
Kevin,
nervous.
there's some hesitation. We're going to hold on. Do me a favor, Brandon. Can you put on some earmuffs real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Thank you. Kev, what the fuck are you doing?
What, with the Ellenberger pick?
You're telling him that he's going to win, and
He's
that's
right about the Lawler thing. I'm genuinely nervous. I wrote down. I'm such a dickhead. I'm trying to go with the opposite. I went with Ellenberger. Who can tell?
Apparently not you. Okay, we're going to go back. Time back in. Hey, Brandon. Everything's going great. Kevin's making very, very educational decisions here.
Good.
Yup. Yep, we're so proud of him.
I didn't hear anything you guys said.
Good.
I did.
I'm
I didn't.
especially proud you didn't hear me asking you to come back on the podcast at some random
Brandon's,
time.
Brandon's a professional.
It's true. He is a professional.
Dickhead got you to agree to it. Yeah, there we go.
Wow. This is the caliber of humor we bring to this podcast, everybody.
Zigging, zagging.
Shut up, Kev. We're going to our next fight, which is going in the featherweight division, which we will ask Brandon who he thinks will win between Sam Cecilia and Aaron Phillips. Go, 15 on the clock.
Let's go with Sam Cecilia. He's not the same person as Sam Hands of Stone Stout, but same first name, so I'm going with that.
Okay, you do know the name Sam. We have covered that. Kevin, what do you have on this fight?
Aaron, what was his last name? Phillips?
Oh, God.
His nickname's The Model. My last name's Phillips. I should be a model. I'm obviously going with Aaron Phillips. Easy decision.
I'm going to stop you right here. Brandon, what is your response to Kevin thinking he is model material?
Well, it's I don't have a clever thing to say. Sorry, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Would you like me to address
Challenge
it in
me
the
to
fact?
a walk-off.
Yeah,
Challenge me to a
I'm not
walk-off,
a
Brandon.
professional podcaster
Challenge me.
comedian, so sorry. Challenge you in what?
I'm just yelling. I don't know. I got too aggressive. I apologize. I'm going to rear it back in. You guys go ahead.
Kev, it's
Making me
okay.
very nervous.
I will tell you why you're not a model. Kev, you don't have the it factor.
That just hurts, Ref.
You're
It's
welcome.
rude.
We're going to our next fight, which we will ask Kevin who's going to win between Tony Ferguson and Katsunori Kokono.
You know, I've thought long and hard about this. And Tony Ferguson's El Kasoy nickname, or what is it? Kusi? Either way, Katsunori sounds a lot like Katsumaro, and I was watching The Last Samurai, so I'm going to go with Katsunori Kikuno.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. I was for sure picking Tony Ferguson, so I feel pretty good about that. Tony's a 10th Planet Purple Belt. He's got a killer Darce choke. For sure, he puts his guy to sleep.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I speak for everyone when I say 10th Planet, just like hippie jiu-jitsu, Brandon. Are we really going to try and use that?
Well, everybody knows that stuff don't work.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work on anybody that's any good, at least.
Ever. Ever.
Brandon, I have a question to ask here.
Yeah.
When you say Tony Ferguson has a great jiu-jitsu game, do you know this from experience yourself?
No, I've not gotten to roll with him myself. He trains at a 10th Planet Costa Mesa, and he swings by headquarters a couple of times a week. And I know Joe Rogan and Eddie are both real high on his jiu-jitsu. So, and you know, he was sub of the night. Not his last. Was it his last fight or the fight before? Put the guy to sleep with the Darce, with the Mars actually. So
all right.
All right. Real analysis.
That was real analysis.
That's out of bounds, right? That's illegal. You're not allowed to use real analysis.
Did he put his hand on the ground? Because if he did, it's allowed.
Oh fuck! I think he did.
Yeah. Yikes. Oh, okay. We're gonna go ahead and go to our next fight. We're going to go ahead and go to you to start with this, Brandon. It is a bantamweight fight between Chris Holdsworth and Chico Camus. Go.
Chris Holdsworth all the way, killer jiu-jitsu, and I know nothing about the other human being, so he has no chance whatsoever. Plus, I can feel in my soul that Kev's about to pick him.
Oh, do you think that's for sure? What makes you think that?
I can just feel the stupidity coming through the line.
Kev, can you confirm your stupidity right here, now? 15 seconds go.
There are things you do not do, and one of them is vote against a very accomplished black belt that is that young. Chris holds it down. I can't vote against that. That's my jiu-jitsu badge would get revoked. Come on.
Even you're not that stupid. That's
no, I'm not. Even I'm not that stupid. You heard it here. How stupid am I? Scale of 1 to 10, 24. I couldn't vote against Holds It Down Holdsworth.
Yeah,
Holds it down,
indeed. Here, right. Holdsworth's got decent striking too, man.
He really does.
Striking. He's gonna do well. I think he's gonna start to shine.
Also, friend of the podcast, Brandon. He's been on a few times.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Been on a few times.
Personally, I know he beat one of our black belts in a jiu-jitsu match once, Denny Prokopos.
Yeah, he used to train over at Lovato's occasionally for like worlds competitions. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, if you sub Denny, you're a killer. So.
Yeah.
Truth. Denny is very good. Let's go ahead and go to our next fight. Kev, we're going to start with you. This is David McLeod versus Li Jing Liang. Go.
Well, first of all, a big fan of both of these guys. Posters on the wall. Because when you get to see David, the Bulldog, spelled weird, McCod, versus the Leech, I'm going to take Li Jingling because I want to yell Jingling loudly in support.
Stop it. That's not his name.
That's definitely his name.
Xenophobic dick.
It's Jingli. Oh, it's Jingling.
It's not Jingling, you dick. You're so fucking racist right now. I can't even deal with it. Let's go over to you, Brandon. Who do you have? Do you have?
I'm gonna go as a racist as well, and I'm gonna go with Chinky Lanky.
Well, guys, this just the Asian Pacific Islander correlation is basically dropped all of their sponsorship from this show.
Is it? I say it. Changi, Chingy, Jingy. Say it.
Jingling.
I'm gonna move on before we lose the 3 Asian people who listen to the show.
Say the name.
It's Jing Liang.
Oh yeah, that's probably it.
Jingling.
Hey, 2 votes for the Leech.
God, 2 votes for the Leech, indeed. The next fight, you guys.
I know I'm supposed to be against Kev, but I feel like we're kind of becoming one right now.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you feel like yourself becoming dumber as this is going on, Brandon?
The bonds of competition.
A little bit. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening.
Kev, is this part of your strategy since you can't win, just to bring down the level of competition to your level?
Does it say in the moderator's book that you're supposed to be a dick about my strategies? Why don't you keep your opinions to yourself while I'm trying to win this mother effer?
Oh, Kevin's out of time. Oh, too bad. We're going to go to our next fight, which, good try, Kev. I understand you really want to win and you won't. Our next fight is in the lightweight category. It is Jamie Varner versus James Krause. We're going to go over to Brandon to start. 15 on the clock, go.
Jamie Varner all the way. I'm calling Varner by knockout in the third round.
Okay. All right. He sees this going to a third round. Kev, how do you see this going?
He's bold. The James Krause, which is his nickname, despite his name just being James Krause, they just added that to it, is going to win this fight because he's 20-5, he's hungry, and he's the complete package. He's going to put him on the ground, he's going to submit him.
Varner much too experienced. Varner's much too experienced.
Another word for experienced is old, Brandon.
Well, that's one word for experienced. But victory is another word. Winner. Not Kev's pick would be another one.
Just off the top of your head, he was able to.
Notice how victory and not Kev's pick seem to really go one and one together.
Guys, Kevin insulted me in the same sentence. A feat I thought only my mother could do, but here we are.
The next fight, gentlemen, is going to be Anthony Njokuani versus Vic Pinchel, and we're going to start with Kevin. Go, 15 on the clock.
You want to try and say that last name again?
Anthony Njokuani.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Anthony Njokuani because I've seen Vince from Hell Pichel, and I've never been impressed by any of his fights. I think the name is cooler than the product. I'm going with the assassin, Anthony. Anthony,
what's the last name again, Kev?
I don't think he had a last. I couldn't find one.
I can spell it out for you.
Njokuani?
Njokuani? Mm-hmm. Okay, I can hear the racism now. Brandon, who do you have in this one?
I'm going to go with Njokuani.
Okay.
Anthony Njokuani. Njokuani, is that the way you say it? Njokuani?
I think it's the Asian way of saying the band Jamiroquai's name.
I like how specific Brandon's being. Like, his name makes sense to pronounce, too, by the way. Right. You should know how to pronounce all these people's names.
That was hurtful.
Uncalled for, Kevin. Bad sportsman, like, conduct. Yeah, I'm taking away a point right now from Kevin. Taking away a point.
Below the belt. I get an advantage for that, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. You'd get an advantage, and also, since Kev has a point, take it away. If it really comes down to it, he's going to be deficient one pick. I've just made that rule right now.
I reaped the knee, apparently.
See, that's why you're a fair and just moderator.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's go to our next fight, guys. It's going to be light heavyweight competition between Dan Henderson versus Daniel Cormier, and we're going to go ahead and start with Brandon. Go for it. 15.
All right. Here's the real question. Can Cormier avoid the one punch that Henderson is going to throw for 3 rounds? If he can, it's an easy win for Cormier. And if Cormier hits him, Henderson's got a killer chin. But Cormier's packing some thunder, and at 205, he looks like he's going to be a handful.
Okay, which one is it?
Cormier.
Okay, we've got DC right here. Kev, who do you got?
Well, first of all, this is easy. DC is minus 1,050. So I'm going to go with Hendo because I'm going to put $20 on him and win $2,000.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's the odds. Is that real? Or are you just dumb enough to make that up?
No, those are the real odds. Daniel Cormier is minus 1,050.
Well, that's about how I feel about it too.
Yeah, that's a shocking amount. That's Luke Rockhold level.
But
I'm
can I
nervous,
tell you something,
but
Kev?
I'm going with Dan Henderson. Fuck it.
I feel that while what you're saying is stupid, I can't not put down $20 with you
to win $2,000.
It's not a bad strategy.
No.
It's not a bad strategy.
That will pay for tons of things on the podcast if we did that and won.
Meanwhile, if we bet $1,000 on Daniel Cormier, we'd win 50. Right. So
I like the way that this has all worked out. Brandon, before we go any further, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a heads up. We've only got 2 more fights to figure out here. But
Okay.
at the end of Over Under Kevin, we need you to figure out the following. We are going to also be trying to predict the fight of the night and the performances of the night. So keep that in mind as you're doing your last couple picks. We'll go back again.
All right.
And then keep in mind if you have a stipulation that you'd like to bet against Kevin, because we always have a stipulation at the end. I hear Kevin has a stipulation for you.
Yeah, I have a bet already in
Oh.
mind.
Well, that sounds
Beautiful voice.
intriguing.
It
Yeah,
does
it
sound
does.
intriguing. I hope we were able to tease that nicely for our audience. Guys, let's go to our next fight. It's a bantamweight fight between Takaya Miyazaki
You're on
versus
fire, by the way.
Francisco Rivera. And we're going to start with Kevin on this one. Kev, who do you have? 15
This
seconds.
is easy. I have Takiya Mizugaki because Francisco Rivera's tattoos kind of line up his head perfectly, and I'm worried he's painted like a bullseye with his beard. His chest tattoos are very confusing. He's got like an eagle, a crown, and multiple stars, and it's very hard to follow.
Okay, that
like a
was
totem
nicely
pole.
done. Like a totem pole. Brandon, who do you have in this?
He looks
Do you
exactly
have-
like a totem pole.
He does. In case you were wondering, he really does look like a totem pole right now. Brandon, who do you have in this? Do you have the hard to pronounce Asian name or the totem pole?
I'm going with Mizugaki. Isn't that how you say
Okay.
it? Am I
Sure.
wrong there?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
I don't
going.
know.
I've heard his name before. I've never heard of the totem pole. If I have, maybe I've seen him fight, but I don't remember his name. So I can't vote with the totem pole. I'm going to stay with my Asian persuasion. I'm going to go with Mizugaki.
Sweet. I just didn't realize how many Asian people they had on this card until now, but
But we've for sure offended them all. So
all
we're
of
set.
It's a very diverse card.
it is a diverse card. Yep, they said you bring me as few white people as you can for this card, or at least make them fight each other. Gentlemen, this is the last fight of the night, and I'm going to give you guys 20 seconds to give your opinions. We are going to start with Brandon. It is the championship bout between Renan Barao and T.J. Dillashaw. 20 seconds on the clock. Go, Brandon.
Even though Dillashaw is working with Bangs Ludwig out of the alpha male camp, and he is much improved recently, I gotta go with him and Barao. I think that's an easy pick. What has he got? 32 consecutive wins. He looks like a destroyer of worlds. I think it's a no-brainer. Put your money on Barao.
Nicely done. Kev, what do you think about that?
I mean, it is the easy pick, so of course Brandon took that path. So easy.
Well, it's the winner's pick.
Hard to stare in the eye of adversity and say no. And this is where James Coe and his NFL broadcasting bastardness is going to pay for it. I was going to pick Renan Barao, but I'm going to reverse my logic and go with TJ Dillashaw. And it has the
Okay.
added advantage.
I'm going to stop you, Kev.
Okay.
We'll have to come back to you if we have time for rebuttal. Brandon, you were trying to say something. What were you trying to say here?
I just feel like he's throwing this. This feels rigged all of a sudden because that's a terrible pick.
No. This is not rigged because Kevin is just that stupid. You ask yourself,
That's unfortunate.
I know, you ask yourself, do we throw these picks?
Am
Audience.
I an American or am I an Amera go with Renan Barao because it's easier? No, I'm an American. I'm going to go with the heavily underdogged Kevin favorite, TJ Dillashaw, plus has more ab muscles showing in his picture. Argue with that logic.
To be fair, that is
that's
the way
that's
Kevin
a great
picks.
Point. That's a good point there.
Yeah.
I can't really argue with that except for that it's dumb.
I will say this, gentlemen, that was a lot of fun. We didn't learn anything, I don't think. But
Definitively did not.
Brandon, do you have a pick for performance of the night? It usually goes to two people now, and also fight of the night.
Well, I do think Dillashaw is going to put up a great fight against Barao, and I'm a big Dillashaw fan, actually. So I'm going to go with that for a fight of the night. Or they call it performance tonight now. Is that it?
Performance of the night is individuals. Like it
I
used to
got
be
you.
like the submission or the knockout of the night. So it's usually identifying those people. So fight of the night.
Fight
Do
of
you
the
think
night,
it's going
I got
to be
Dillashaw and Barao for sure.
okay? And then do you have
Sub
any
of the
individuals for no performance of the night? It's 2 people they usually pick.
Okay. Well, I'm going with my boy Tony Ferguson.
Okay.
Yep.
A good pick.
And then I got to pick another one. I think Jamie Varner's going to do something on this card. I think Varner's going to look good.
All right. I like this dangerous picking. Kevin, where are you on all this?
Fight of the night is going to go to Lawler Ellenberger.
Okay.
Oh, that's a pretty good pick, too.
Obviously. Performance of the night is going to go to Cormier, who's going to probably put Henderson into retirement. Other fight of the night pick or performance of the night is actually going to go to young up-and-comer Holdsworth, who I predict will submit his opponent early and is going to be a crowd favorite.
Kev, have you remembered that Dana doesn't like jiu-jitsu?
I have remembered that. I've factored it in. You know what? I don't fucking care. He'll fucking give a submission if it fucking ends the fight. Fuck it.
You know what? Fuck you then, fucking Kevin. I'm just sitting here listening to this whole fucking thing, and I see this fucking guy over here. Fuck you.
Fuck verbal tap.
Oh,
Fuck
sorry.
him.
Dana just rushed into the studio for a second.
Yeah, he does that.
That was vulgar. That was unfortunate.
That's the way most people describe their interactions with Dana White. But
Brandon,
guys,
gentlemen.
I know. I love that he had a clutch the pearls moments. It's like, oh, no. That was
It's
too
like,
much.
you guys need to sober up.
He was badgered.
Okay. Knowing what you know, that Kevin has a stipulation for you, Brandon. Did you have a stipulation for him when he loses?
A bet. Why do you keep calling it a stipulation? It's a bet.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
don't think he knows what stipulation means, really.
I don't
but
think
that's
I
okay.
know what it means, but yeah.
I'm sorry, 1-syllable words. I'm right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, look, I got an Alabama public school education, and I still know what stipulation means.
I'm from Kansas. I don't.
That's terrible. Come to Kansas, where you can look across the flatlands. The worst state in the union.
Wow.
God,
Snap.
for someone from Alabama, this feels like alphabetism.
Well, let's put it this way, Brandon. So you don't have a stipulation for Kevin, or I'm sorry, a bet for Kevin.
I will bet nice seafood dinner. How about that?
Okay, I like that.
If,
That's a good start. Kev, would you like to share your stipulation?
So here's my exchange. Loser writes a complimentary song about the winner.
I hear you, but you're going to have to sing.
Yeah, and play.
Sure you want to do that?
Oh,
A little earlier.
I think I'll be able to figure it out, Brandon. I mean, it's just strings on a guitar.
I'll take that bet.
I'm sorry. Did somebody else hire a really bad guitarist to just show up unnecessarily
That's
on our
just
podcast?
me proving a little bit of what I can do in a new song I'll be playing called "I Dominated Brandon."
That's hurtful.
Ooh.
Beautiful.
That sounded like one of those little toy guitars you buy at Walmart.
It was. I'm just hitting buttons over here. I'm just...
It's not even a guitar. You're doing it on GarageBand.
Those are my terms. Well, then, I mean, if you're so confident you're going to win, all you can do is laugh at it then, right?
That's a good point. And
See?
for sure, we're going to laugh at it. Not because it's funny, but because it's sad and disgraceful.
So, Brandon, are you going to write a song for Kevin if by some miracle he ended up winning?
Absolutely, I will do that.
There it is.
Sweet. Wow. It's very sad that I actually have to root for Kevin to win because I would rather hear your beautiful voice sing a song than Kevin's.
It's a real
Like a
selfish
mix
choice for
between
everyone.
Fergie and Jesus.
It really is. I would say this.
Jesus.
That's not
Brandon, I want to thank you so much for appearing on the podcast this week. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to watch UFC 173, and then on our podcast following that, we'd like to have you back so we can figure out who won.
Yeah, and it'd be nice because I'll have to go back and listen to the picks again because I won't remember who I picked.
Yeah,
Oh, you
no
don't have
one
to
ever
remember
does.
any of those.
Raph
In fact,
does
half the
this.
time, I just mark down who you guys picked and then let you guys know on air who won.
Right on. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and have him start writing the song then.
Okay.
Yeah, I will. I'll actually get on that. I will. I'll make sure.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Jotting down some notes just in
Well,
case.
Brandon, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. You are such a great guy. Like, we loved having you on the first time, and we had to bring you back for this game because we knew you'd be a good time, and you really were.
Well, thanks, man. Enjoyed being on.
Hey, what's that 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu gym you run out in Alabama?
Decatur, Alabama.
Decatur, Alabama. You can go in and you can roll real time and learn from Brandon McCaghren. So head out to 10th Planet out there in Decatur.
That's right. Come on down. And hey,
ever...
listen, I'm coming to Los Angeles in July.
Yes.
So you're going to take me out for a nice ramen noodle dinner.
Beautiful.
Well, I live in
what's
LA.
gonna happen.
Kevin lives in DC. I'm not buying you a damn thing, but
You are.
wait, how did that happen? I don't get stipulations on this show.
Well, if listen, the seafood dinner that I bet,
Yeah.
you could just buy that
There
instead
you
of
go.
him.
That's
Send him a check.
That's
Send him a
easy.
check, Kev. PayPal.
I love it. That somehow I
More
got dragged into
connected.
Kevin's stupid picks. But Brandon, you're an awesome guy. We look forward to having you back on very soon so we can hear how everything went. And, good nonsense again next time.
All right, man. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon McCaghren.
Did you see
Best.
how I blew up my own knee when I dominated Eddie? See, I started out on top, then I sprung my plan. I went for the rape joke, and it fell into my hands. I rolled over and went for that thing that I do where I let him pass my card. You know that thing I'm talking about?
Raph, what the fuck is going on here? Our podcast is this is too good. This is too much good podcast for maybe one podcast.
Maybe.
We had Dhiego Lima from Tough 19 and just
Awesome.
the All-Star Nice Camp. He's up there. Really good, motivational. He lifted some spirits. Adam Hunter, who's hilarious. MMA Roasted, the man behind the social media craziness. Really funny. Always doing good work. Follow him if you're not. Then Brandon McCaghren from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu stopped by for maybe another chapter in his musical beatdown career.
Oh, don't be mean to him, Kev. He's such a nice soul.
He is a really nice guy. He's a sweetheart. Okay, Raph, we got to wrap this thing. We got to go.
Yeah, let's go.
Which means it's time for shout-outs. Would you like to lead us off?
Yeah, I just really want to thank, first of all, the good people over at Valley Martial Arts Center.
VVV Mac.
Today we had a really cool guy named Kai, who's a kid who is traveling up from San Diego. He was helping out his grandma because apparently she had her house that was close to some fires that were up here. So he very nicely came to help her out. Once she was all secure and everything was great, he came to train jiu-jitsu with us. And let me tell you something, Kevin. This young kid's his wrestling was out of control. It was really good. And we just want to say to Kai, you're welcome to come back anytime. We hope you will, because that was awesome getting to roll with you today. I also want to shout out the good people over at Drysdale Jiu-Jitsu. You know our good friend Christian Woodmansey, yeah?
Absolutely.
He very nicely invited me to come over, so I got the chance to talk with him. Robert Drysdale himself, who I joked with Kevin about this, but this is the absolute truth. Somebody just flattened me straight onto my back. And if you know anything about jiu-jitsu, that's not where you want to be. So Drysdale yells across the gym and is like, Raph, we can't be on our backs. And because the technique of his student was so good, I was like, but this is your work. I didn't do it on purpose. He's just really good.
Stop teaching people.
So I wanted to thank all of the people who I got to roll with and interact with. That includes Christian, Patches, Skittles, Tess, Josh, Ed. I know I'm missing a whole bunch of people. I met so many people, and to all of them, I just want to say thank you guys so much for some great instruction. I really appreciate, in particular, that Rob Drysdale himself took some time to talk with me, gave me some nice pointers, and I will definitely be back there. And Kev, I know if you ever get out to Vegas, we got to get you to go over there as well. It's a really good time.
Without question. It sounds amazing. It It really does. Are you done?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Wow. Okay.
Well, also
first of all-
Zach. I'll say Zachary Lane. Sergeant Lane. Thanks for the ride.
Absolutely.
That's all I got for that one. You go.
Oh, that's nice. It's got the. Hey, you got to get there. It's important. People make priorities. I was in New York doing a few shows to Jefferson out there at the Whole Bear. It was just a crazy few nights of shows down in Manhattan, which is always a ton of fun. Of course, our friends, Ellen Duvall, Saeed, Carly, Sarah, Ryan, Rebecca, they let me crash. Ellen and Duvall is where I stayed. A lot of them came watch the shows. Great times, just out and out some friends. BJJ and MMA Academy out there in Chantilly, VA. We're going to be doing a lot more half guard drilling all week, so come join the fun. BJJ Finder, of course, the world's premier jiu-jitsu school locator. You can log on, you can review it, you can let them know what you think. That, along with all of the New York craziness, is going to do it for me, except one last. Mr. Sangura Kinikole got his black belt today.
That's right. That's awesome.
Big moments as he's starting some schools out there in Florida. Congrats to him. It's such the black belt. You know what I mean? Great teacher, a long-time fun training partner. Congrats to him. That's just, the black belt, man.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
In there.
Friend of the podcast. It's always good when we hear those things. I know I read it and I was just like, oh man, that's the best thing when you see all of your friends do that,
Yeah, and it happens so rarely just because you just don't see a lot of people pop across. So
yeah.
It's always really great when it happens. Yeah. It's like, oh, holy shit. Because that's going to do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. Big thanks to all the guests, Brandon, Adam, Dhiego. So much fun. That's going to do it for us here. I'm Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Good night and good fight.
Dominated Brandon.
Remains to be seen.
Dominated Brandon.